What is going on, Mail Gang? It is Boaz.
And Isaias.
And today we're going to be talking about something kind of special, something that actually we, the team here at Airsoft GI, have been discussing for a bit, and that is, I guess, the importance and the relevance of custom-built airsoft guns. If you guys know Airsoft GI for quite some time, Airsoft GI has been a very long-standing shop, I guess you say, that has been offering a lot of high-end, high-quality custom airsoft guns. But in the past few recent years, we've noticed a lot more manufacturers coming out with a lot of higher end, I guess, high quality functions and features and parts in them that are supposed to, I guess, compete with the custom airsoft market.
So this kind of does beg the question, when you see some really high end, top of the line, premium custom guns that are offered from guys like us at Airsoft GI, it almost kind of makes you wonder, what is the point? Or at the very least, what even is the difference between some of the more premium, higher end Gucci offerings versus something like, I don't know, say maybe the Zynearms custom builds or whatever high-end customs you might find out there?
So for example, over here in front of me, I'm holding the Arcturus Trinity AEG. This is arguably probably one of the greatest, I guess you'll say, out-of-the-box factory airsoft gun that you can get on the market right now. But it's not just the Arcturus Trinity, but you guys should know there are also a lot of these household names that are known for making extremely high-quality airsoft guns from the factory.
KWA, G&G with the SGR 556.
Yeah, SGR 556. Yeah, that's right. They do come jam-packed with a ton of new features and fancier internal components that in the past was only really able to be achieved through, let's say, custom work from either a custom shop, or maybe you have to hire a local tech to install, or maybe something you have to do by yourself on your own.
No, and even though you're not having to go through a tech or a custom shop to get, all these features jam-packed in here, it is still gonna cost you a pretty penny. It's quite a bit of cheddar to be able to go ahead and afford one of these bad boys.
That is right, that is right. So, for example, right, like the Trinity that you're looking at here, and even the G&G SGR 556 and some other guns, we're talking anywhere between the high $400s to $600 to get one of these bad boys. And these guns are no joke. They are serious performers. They very much will be at the very pinnacle, at the top of, like, I guess you would say, readily available factory-made airsoft guns.
And it's definitely no stretch of the imagination to say that the quality of airsoft guns alone, just the overall standard, has definitely increased in the past couple years. And we're definitely seeing that be reflected in pretty much all, I guess, like tiers of airsoft guns, but just a lot of it seems to be focused especially in the high-end aspect as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we are seeing that rising tide where all sorts of airsoft guns, even from like the more beginner tier and all the way to the pinnacle, everything is starting to come up, especially when it comes to the features. And if you guys want to learn more about the Trinity Alpha series, or you want to check out my personal favorite top of the line AEG last year, which was the G&G SGR 556, make sure to check that out as well. We do have videos on those in more detail. Yeah, but what would be, Isaias, for you, what would be the main difference between, let's say, like these pinnacle high-end AEGs versus something more custom built like the one that you're holding now?
Yeah, so this one right now is going to be the Zynearms Custom Shop BL2 AEG. This is the SSG short stroke you're set on here. This thing, first of all, let's just address the elephant in the room. It looks gorgeous. It looks so freaking good with the BCM handguard on here, and of course the Zynearms receiver on here. It just lends itself very well, this sort of aesthetic. So the biggest thing between the two, obviously, it's going to be the labor of love that's thrown into it. Now, don't get me wrong, especially if we're talking about the Arcturus specifically. The Arcturus does a really good job, especially with their shim job and, of course, assembly line. All their stuff is done very, very well, and they have really, really good QC, which we all appreciate. Makes sense why that's all there. However, you're not getting the same level of commitment, I would say, the same level of attention to detail that you would, with a custom shop or like a tech, right? Like a really nice high-end tech shop. Those are guys that are looking at every single little component themselves, making sure that everything is meshing properly, everything is working properly. There's not gonna be one small little oversight on anything like you would potentially with an assembly line on a factory. These things are, at the end of the day, even though something like the Trinity Alpha might be premium, at the end of the day, it is still mass produced, versus this is finely tuned, someone expertly handcrafted this thing all together. So it's the level of attention, I think, is the biggest difference between the two.
Yes, I would agree. Yeah, I like what Isaiah said, as good as a high-end factory AEG like the Trinity is, And of course, Arcturus is known for their quality control, and yeah, it does speak for itself, I think, in the end product.
Absolutely.
It's still built on an assembly line. You know, like it is built by a factory worker who is, you know, having to meet a required quota, you know, every day, every week to get these guns out. Whereas the customs, like for example, the BL2 AEG made by Dr. Gearbox, these are handmade. These are handmade, and every one of them is, like what you said, inspected and made sure that like everything meshes well together. So I think, yeah, you do get a more of a refined setup or refined product overall. And if you guys want to learn more about the BL2 and the BL1 custom AEGs built by Dr. Gearbox, we have made a video on them as well. So make sure to give it a listen because these guns are absolutely gnarly. But not just that, but I think when it comes to I guess you would say like factory versus custom, I think the biggest thing the biggest difference between the two is obviously the limitation. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So because with factory, there's a lot of stuff that they have to keep in mind. You know, like for example, I think what most people expect out of a custom gun, I guess you would say, is like everyone just assumes that you could just slap on as many name brand high-end parts as possible and it should all magically work together.
Yeah, there is a lot of fine-tuning, fitment that is required to be able to properly, and so I would say successfully, be able to accomplish that task. Because you can do it, and I'm sure that there's plenty of guys out there, especially in the comment section, they're gonna say, "Oh, I know how to."
Oh, dude, the YouTube comment section are the best text. Yeah, they can do it. They can do anything.
They can
honestly.
do anything. But I will say that there is something to be said with a tech like Dr. Gearbox, for example, who's been in the industry for like over 20 plus years at this point, man. He knows his stuff, and he knows the exact stress points of every single little component that goes into this. And again, your assembly line factory worker is not going to know that. You know, they're not going to have that same level of
expertise. Or the factory is not going to be able to do that because one thing that, again, a lot of these airsoft techs or people online don't tell you is the tolerances of parts because we are building off of a clone of a Tokyo Marui version 2 gearbox, right? Eventually, over time, as you make a clone of a clone of a clone of a clone, the fidelity starts to drop. So that's why there's fitment involved. Everyone assumes that you'll just be able to put every single component piece and just slap it together and it should work. That is not the case. Even, for example, if you were to get, let's say, like 2 identical components, let's say like you're able to get 2 identical gear sets, you know, in the 2 identical, for example, like gearboxes or identical gearboxes, they will not fit the same way.
Nope.
Yeah, everyone needs to be shimmed differently. There is no magic formula to it, by the way. You just have to just do it. And so the factory is not going to be able to do that, you know. So they're going to be able to get it to good enough, right? So like, will it work? Yes, it works. Send it. Will it not work? Can't. Okay, we can't do that.
Can't ship it out.
I think that's the biggest difference. Is like there is a limitation on how you can produce the AEG in a factory versus when they're built like one by one by hand by an experienced tech. But why don't we talk about Dr. Gearbox for a bit? Because Isaias, you did talk about Dr. Gearbox for a little bit. Yeah, for those of you guys who don't know who Dr. Gearbox is, don't worry. Dr. Gearbox is obviously it's going to be a new airsoft brand, so to speak. But the man behind the Dr. Gearbox, he has over 20 years plus experience.
Yeah, this guy
in the airsoft industry.
This guy has worked in so many and has so much experience working in some of the highest end custom shops that you can imagine. If you think about it, he's probably worked there or had experience with them at some point.
But not only that, but he's also done a lot of consulting and helped with some of the design work for some airsoft manufacturers as well. So he's been kind of all over the place from from the factory itself and also to the high-end boutique custom shops that you guys probably might know. But now he has branched out and now he's starting to make his own line of handcrafted airsoft guns.
Honestly, like getting a little bit more experience trigger time with all of the BL series, all the Dr. Gearbox, everything that he's produced for all these brands has been nothing short of just amazing to see what these things can absolutely do.
And absolutely, So, I'm gonna reach over and grab this
go
guy
for it.
Yeah, so this is the BL1, so this is the dual sector gear, the DSG version of custom guns that he is going to be offering.
This thing is scary, man.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, so just give you a quick rundown for each of these guns. I had to memorize these before the camera started rolling, so I'm just gonna rattle them off. So basically, it comes with an aluminum CNC gearbox shell, which is fantastic, extremely high strength, very durable, especially with the DSG gun. it needs to hold up to the increased added stress because DSG guns are inherently very unreliable. So because of that, you need to beef it up with a strong gearbox shell. Cannot stress that enough.
No.
Yeah, and then you're gonna have a full set of full steel DSG gears, dual sector gears. So it's made for that longevity, for you to use and abuse it and come out the other end smiling. Right? It's gonna come with a high strength brushless motor because brushless motors are all the rage nowadays.
All the craze
yeah,
right now.
You have
Everyone
max speed adjustable trigger, so you can cough and sneeze and the gun goes off. The compression's gonna be really well fine-tuned. Pretty much you're getting perfect compression out of the box with these guys. Dr. Gearbox guarantees that you will get a 5 FPS deviation, which is pretty nutty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, that consistency, that translates to practical accuracy, by the way. So when you get flyers and stuff in your BBs, it's probably because your compression isn't tuned very well. Full steel, a metal rack piston. You also get the Gate Titan 2, the sequel, the bigger the better, Gate Titan 2. That's right, max hop-up unit, and then you're gonna get a stainless steel inner barrel, maple leaf bucking, all these tried and true household name brand names that people really love to see in these custom guns. And so with that, the BL1 should shoot anywhere between 345 to 350 FPS with a .2 gram BB.
Hell yeah.
And
baby.
with the fully charged 11.1 20C LiPo battery, you should get upwards to 40 rounds per second in full auto, which is absolutely evil. You should not shoot someone full auto with that.
Man.
It is diabolical, yes. But out of the box, Dr. Gearbox will include the original PTS EPM magazine, the classic. He highly recommends that you use the PTS EPM classics, not the EPM ones.
No.
Yeah, but the EPM originals, right? The OG. Make sure to use that for the best feeding performance that will keep up with a gun this fast. And of course, he'll include an 11.1 20C LiPo battery as well. So that way you get the recommended equipment, to run this bad boy. And so if you want to use your own battery, your own magazine, you know what to get. You're gonna get the PTS EPM, you're gonna get an 11.1 20C LiPo battery.
It is important to know too that any deviation in the recommended equipment will ultimately lead to different results as well.
Yeah.
That is
so
very
if you use a weaker battery, you're gonna get a slower rate of fire, you're gonna get a slower trigger response. If you use a different magazine, you might get feeding issues, might not be able to keep up with how fast this gun shoots. Okay, let's talk about BL2.
My favorite.
Okay, I'm running out of breath here. Okay, so pretty much majority of the time you're gonna get pretty much the same kind of parts. You're gonna get this time single sector gear set instead, which is the SSG, right?
Full piston.
So it's a full steel gear set, and then high strength brushless motor, max adjustable trigger, perfectly tuned compression system with the steel rack piston. You're gonna get the very same Gucci Max hop-up unit with the maple leaf bucking and a stainless steel 603 Type 4 inner barrel. So you can expect this guy to shoot absolute laser beams across the field. Chrono-wise, it's gonna chrono anywhere between 395 to 400 FPS.
Yeah, only 5 FPS deviation at most.
Exactly, and with the properly fully charged 11.1 volt 20C LiPo battery, you're gonna get upwards to around 30 rounds per second with this bad boy, which is
still scary.
It's still diabolical.
Even when I compare it to, say, the closest thing that we can compare it to would be the Trinity Alpha, just because that is what is considered at this current time the bleeding edge of what an AEG is capable of.
Yeah, from the factory.
From the factory, of course. There is no way that you could really compare these two. It's literally apples and oranges. They're completely different. The customs are in a class all to their own. Literally why they're called custom. These are not something that you get straight from the factory.
Exactly, yeah. And so I guess the closest analogy I can approximate between something like this, because we've shot both types of guns, by the way. We shot the Trinity, we've shot we shot Crytacs, we've shot VFCs, we've shot G&Gs, right? And of course, for me, KWA, right? So I'm just gonna tell you right now, these are like car dealership sports car, right? This is like your Camaro, this is like your Mustang, this is like your Corvette, okay? Which are great. They can go 0 to 60 real fast, very good. But these are like the Bugattis. These are like the limited edition McLarens, the Ferraris. They exist in very, very small quantity. They're also going to be priced differently. You are going to pay a premium for that expertise. They don't just go 0 to 60 really fast. They go to 0 to 100 really fast. We notice a lot of manufacturers are getting very good at going 0 to 60 really fast, right?
Yeah.
That most of the way there, that bumps up your performance where people can notice, right? I think a lot of manufacturers are doing that well, but that 0 to 100, that 60 to 100, that is the tough part. That's where it does take a seasoned tech to build really well.
That's still uncharted waters, I would say, for like the vast majority of airsoft AEG manufacturers, at least at this time right now anyway. I don't know who's watching this in 2036 and they've been able to go ahead and close the gap, but at this time right now, that like 0 to 100 sort of like realm is very much like high-end custom territory only at this time. Like there really isn't any AEGs that come close out the factory, come close to this level of performance when it comes to the rate of fire.
I would say this: doing this DIY is not easy.
Oh no!
It is not easy.
It's not impossible.
I mean, of course. I'm speaking to those of you guys who are replying in the comments right now. Of course, I believe you, bro. You are, you know, you're gonna be able to do this just fine. But generally speaking, when you're teching and let's say you buy the parts yourself, the same parts that come into these custom guns, you buy it yourself, you install them yourself. It is not going to work the first time around. It will not. And even if it does, it's not going to run as smoothly or as efficiently, or as long as these guns will. And the reason being is that it requires a lot of fine tuning. So the reason why, I guess you would say, it took this long from our first video about these guns till now about these guns, the reason why there's a gap in time is because, there's a lot of testing that needs to be done.
Yeah, the R&D required for just one of these guns is actually quite long. I don't think people really realize that it's not as easy as, just slap all the parts together and it'll be fine, and then just make a bunch of those. That doesn't really work.
And I have shot the backyard Tech's airsoft guns before, okay? And do they run well? Yeah, to a reasonable extent.
Some of them can be pretty good.
They do run well. But from my 16 years of playing airsoft, I have not shot an airsoft gun that shoots as well or as smoothly or has lasted as long as those built by those custom shop techs, right? I've had customs built by our world-class techs before, right? And they still truck along to this day, and I put them through the ringer. You know, and even with these Dr. Gearbox guns, they're pretty much on that same caliber where they're kind of a cut above the rest, even amongst the custom builders.
Yeah, amongst the elite, these things are still going to be standing out no matter what. And I think, honestly, more so than just like being able to like put all these parts together, that is still going to require a level of expertise that is just not as often found in the airsoft.
It's actually I think that level of knowledge is actually starting to go away. It's just becoming
it's sad,
forgotten lore because of the factory guns that are coming out. And most people, I would say, as a matter of fact, if you never shot a Trinity or never shot one of these really like $600 out the box factory AEGs, you will be satisfied with this. But this takes it to a whole new level. And I think as a testament to that, I think it's really crazy that Dr. Gearbox is going to be out the gate, will be supplying these guns with a 1-year warranty, which for warranting tech work, like custom work like that, usually in my experience, I haven't seen a shop that offers a warranty that long.
For DSG alone, I'm shocked that they're willing
1 year,
to do that. That's a testament to like just how well these things were built and the confidence in it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But with that all being said, I think the last question that we were discussing, that after talking about tech and custom work versus factory, is why, if these guns are so good, why should we support airsoft techs? Like why should we support custom work like this when for cheaper you can get a gun like this? I mean, by no means are these guns cheap, but but cheaper than a custom
comparatively,
gun. Cheaper than a custom gun, right? That will do the job just fine. Like why spend the extra money?
Well, there's a couple of reasons as to why. I mean, it just goes back to that question, right? Why should we support our local airsoft techs, or why should we support airsoft techs in general, or like custom shops like this? Well, I mean, for starters, that's a whole other aspect of airsoft that I feel like we even don't always do the best job of acknowledging, that as opposed to just the playing side, the performance side, as opposed to just, the collecting side, the backyard plinkers, techs are a whole other thing in terms of airsoft. That's a whole other side of airsoft that we don't really talk about as often, and that's a side of airsoft that people really do love and people do engage. We're seeing less of it, which is sad, but it's still a very, very strong community out there. There are guys in our own community that will, as soon as they buy a gun, they will just immediately want to rip the whole thing apart and then see what makes it tick. And I think that's actually a really cool thing. We need guys like that out there. You can't tell me that there have been moments in your 16 plus years of playing at this point now where you've had an issue with an airsoft gun and you were going to someone who was trying to find, all right, who's the tech on hand right now at the field who can help me out, kind of figure out what's going on?
100%, yeah. For me, I think that one of the reasons why like I love airsoft techs and I have a soft spot in my heart for them, is because they want to share their joy and their love of airsoft with other players, and they build treasures that they don't possess.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
one of their big, I think I've even talked to a few techs before where some of their greatest accomplishments they've told me was being able to come out with like a really cool custom gun or really cool project for somebody else, whether it was for like someone's birthday or for a customer that they would have, like a personal client, and just seeing how much joy that person had from their creation. I can tell you this, if you ever get a chance to get your hands, like we have, been able to get some trigger time with the BL series, you can't fire this and not smile and just feel that this is a project of love, that this is
100%.
someone's passion project right here.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's a difference between like, you step into a Mustang, and you floor it on the drag strip. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. But then you step into the limited edition McLaren. You step into the the Bugatti, and then you floor that bad boy. Yeah, it's a whole different experience.
It's serial,
brother. Yeah. So, so I mean, those are some of our thoughts about custom guns. And personally, for me, like I hope that in the future that the custom scene is able to thrive, honestly.
No, I do believe I have some hope for the future of airsoft teching and sort of, I don't want to say like the modding thing, that sounds like it's like the airsoft teching side. I just think it's gonna ultimately, just like everything else that's happening in airsoft, right? We're slowly but surely gonna start drifting away from the AEG and then mostly gravitating towards gas blowbacks. That's kind of new frontier for a lot of techs that have mostly been familiar with AEGs. They're gonna start switching over to gas blowbacks now too.
Because if it wasn't for the people in the airsoft community that were teching in the early days, the aftermarket scene would not exist.
No,
it would not. And they brought the techs, the hobbyists, the enthusiasts that love tinkering and building these airsoft guns out. They're the ones that pretty much helped make the airsoft scene what it is today. And I really hope that doesn't go away. I hope it continues to grow, because I think if the tech community, the tech side of things, if we stop supporting the airsoft techs, the innovation will die out.
Absolutely.
It will,
It's going to stagnate. We're not going to see any aftermarket components come out for it. And we're not going to see airsoft guns really pushing the envelope of as what's included inside the box, right? What's included in the construction of the airsoft gun, and just the overall quality will just stagnate entirely. I 100% agree to this.
Yeah. So those are our closing thoughts about just the techs in general and like the landscape that is in airsoft today. If you guys are looking forward to the Design Arms custom series of airsoft guns made by Dr. Gearbox, again, make sure to check out our video on it. They absolutely rip. They are probably some of the most high performance AEGs that we've ever shot.
Probably some of the scariest AEGs I've ever had experience with.
100%, yeah. These things are absolute laser beams. And make sure to keep an eye on airsoftgi.com because these will be dropping pretty soon. But
the BL2 is already.
Oh, the BL2 is already out. Oh shoot, that's crazy. Okay, yeah. So so make sure to check it out airsoftgi.com. We list a full spec sheet over there as well. But like I said, as you can see from the video, these guns absolutely rip. But also not only that, but we also do carry a lot of the high end. I guess just say factory AEGs as well.
Yeah, if you're not in a position right now to be able to get yourself like a high-end custom like the BL series, not to worry, we still have plenty of premium Gucci offerings available on hand at airsoftgi.com.
But let us know in the comments below what you think about how relevant are airsoft techs in the airsoft industry and how it shapes and affects the landscape today. I'm pretty sure most of you guys are commenting about how you guys are god-level techs, and we believe you, don't worry.
No one's taking that away from you, bro.
If you like what you're seeing, please make sure to leave a like, as well as subscribing if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon to get notified every time we upload a new video. And what's the best way to support the channel?
Best way to do so is by getting all your airsoft goodies, including these customs, available at airsoftgi.com. It is the most direct way to keep the cameras rolling and the lights on.
That's right. And with that, I think I'm gonna plug a battery and do another mag doom because this is pretty addictive.
Oh, please don't fall out on me.
We'll see you next time, Mail Gang.